Welcome to West USA Weekly, the podcast, your go-to source for everything real estate in Phoenix, Arizona. We're breaking down market trends, local insights, and the moves that matter most to Valley agents. Interviews, tips, and the latest from one of Arizona's top brokerages, all in one place. Let's dive in.
All right. Good morning, West USA. Boy, that lady makes it sound like we know what we're doing, man.
Yeah,
like I feel like we've been underperforming.
Georgia brings it every single day, and she makes sure that we sound professional.
God bless Georgia. Well, we do appreciate everybody joining us today. Welcome to another edition of our Monday morning podcast. A little sneak peek of what we got coming up today. Todd, I guess we're going to get our numbers out to the Facebook groups later on today.
I apologize to everybody who came here for some numbers. Yes, it'll be later early this morning. I'm almost done with them now.
All right, and I guess I didn't finish the next one. The Mortgage Minute Update by...
It's me. I'm going to do it. Surprise.
Oh, okay. Buy low, sell high. All right, we got Justin Frederick in the house. He's going to give us our Mortgage Minute. I'm going to share 3 tips to creating memorable client experiences, and we got our resident home inspector, Anthony Cucci from HCP Inspections in the house, and we're going to talk a lot about inspections, some of the changes that are going on in the inspection world, and especially roofs. But with that, as always, if you've got any comments or questions, please feel free to email us at podcast@westusa.com, and Nick will get to you by next month.
What?
All right. All right, we got some... We've got some announcements. This is an interesting one because, dude, I think Section 8's back, and if I'm an investor and I'm a landlord, I really would be excited about Section 8. There is a lot of myths about Section 8. Yeah, typically you're going to be repainting and reflooring, but man, they stay in there for years and years, and I don't ever have to collect rent.
No, it's like owning a home in an adult community. They never want to leave once they go in.
All right. 3 hours of fair housing law. So pick up three CE hours for this class. It's going to be in person at the Chandler office. It'll be going on tomorrow afternoon between 1 and 4. All right. So Justin's got a class, Mastering the DSCR loan. This is one of my favorite loan programs out there right now for investors. So if you're working with investors that write off a lot of taxes and can't qualify based on how they filed for taxes, this is going to be the loan program for them. So I would definitely check this out. It's going to be at the Chandler office Tuesday, tomorrow at 10 o'clock. So you'll want to check that out. All right, and then also tomorrow we've got a short sale class. Anthony and I just spent the last half hour talking about short sales. So I'm going to be there tomorrow morning checking this out and see what Claudia has to say. And so that's going on tomorrow between 10 and 1 at the Palm Valley Community Center in Goodyear. All right, Todd's got a CE class coming up this Wednesday from 9 to 12, 3 hours of fair housing. And as always, this is going to be a virtual class, but as always, all of our classes can be found online. Just go to your dashboard, go to the calendar. If you're not with West USA, you are more than welcome to attend any of these events, and you can just go to westusacalendar.com and get signed up for that. All right, selling in a buyer's market. We got a special panel going on this Thursday up here at the North Phoenix office. So if you're like everybody else and you have some listings that are sitting and trying to figure out how to get your listing sold and off the market, it's going to be a great panel for you to check out.
You know, if we have the numbers here to give you this morning, some of the numbers I've already got are saying, once again, inventory is declining just a very little bit. There's many more buyers in the marketplace than there have been in the last couple of months. And also, but again, to the same point, the properties that are selling are the ones that are the newer ones put on the market, not the ones that have been on the market for a while.
Yeah, and I actually I read an article this morning talking about this. What we're going to also be seeing is now a lot of listings are going to be expiring because they haven't been able to sell. So there's going to be even less inventory on the market. So
exactly.
So we'll check that out. All right, Scottsdale announcement. All right, so come see Claudia. She's going to be at the Scottsdale office. Are we in the 4th Wednesday of this month already?
Yes.
Man, what's the date?
Today's the 21st.
21st.
Oh,
Yes.
21st.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I had a really good time in D.C., so I lost track of time, Justin. All right. So that's going on at the Scottsdale office this week, this Wednesday from 9 to 3:30. So stop by with any of your broker questions. And as we mentioned, if you got short sale questions, I would definitely stop by and spend a little time with Claudia. All right. And as we've mentioned, Todd's going to have the stats out sometime later on. So be on the lookout on the Facebook group. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Justin. So,
All right, guys.
are we
Good
getting
morning.
rid of Powell? I keep reading that we might be getting rid of Powell.
I mean, there's always talk about a new Fed chair. Just
Like I read that he's thinking about quitting.
He's coming up for renewal anyway.
yeah, he's got some time left, but I don't know what's going to happen. There's always talk there, but rates stayed pretty steady last week, so that was a good thing. It was nice. We were concerned because we did get higher inflation numbers than expected on Tuesday and Wednesday last week, so it's looking good. But we do you see that we got that 15-year in the fives. That's great. All right, so we're going to be talking about some VA stuff today. There's a lot of misconceptions about VA loans, and one of the biggest ones that we hear is you're capped at conventional loan limits at 806,500, and that's absolutely not true. We can go much higher. It will allow us to go all the way up to $2 million with zero down if they have full entitlement. So $2 million. And we're talking about traditionally lower interest rates on a VA loan compared to conventional and FHA. So and then when you're comparing to jumbo loans, much lower. So the one thing is when you have a VA financing, if you have a funding fee, you're paying a funding fee. You don't have VA disability. It can be very costly to get into a VA loan with 100% financing, but at the same time, you gotta have that knowledge to compare those products.
Yeah, and I feel like sometimes in these scenarios when I'm working with a veteran or active military for that matter that does not have any disability, and so we're looking at the funding fee, but they do have some cash. Sometimes it's best to look at the conventional product as well, because just because you're eligible for the VA, it still at the end of the day could cost you more. But then if you've got no cash to put down, we're going VA.
Right. Well, even if you do have cash to put down, but that's a good point, Mike. So we match them up a lot. But if they have 5% to put down and we're comparing apples to apples compared to conventional or VA, keep in mind there's no private mortgage insurance on a VA loan, and we're talking about cheaper interest rates. So we just got to match up and see what that looks like compared to what their funding fee.
Should agents prep their VA buyers by saying, start if you can't find your DD 214, you need to maybe call in to your
No,
Or is that all
we
online
have.
now?
Most of us have online access on a VA portal. I can get a certificate of eligibility in probably 30 seconds. Now, I would say 1 out of 50 people I need to get a DD 214 because the VA's.
That sounds like a droid from Star Wars,
right?
Yeah.
DD 214 is a discharge
and
document.
what about surviving spouses and stuff like that? They have eligibility also. Right?
They do. A lot of times we'll help them fill out the paperwork that they need to turn in. It's not overnight when we figure out if they can get that surviving spouse's benefit. But we can help them with that. Absolutely. So full entitlement, explain. Full entitlement implies if a veteran has never used a VA loan before and they qualify, or has paid off a prior VA loan and restored the entitlement. A lot of times we'll do that too if we're doing buy-sell in the same day, so they don't need to worry about it. Or sold a property tied to a prior VA loan. If full entitlement is available, no down payment is required, even on a $2 million home. If partial entitlement remains, a veteran may need to make up the difference with a down payment. Now, it's not dollar for dollar, so I can't just tell you. There's the specific calculator that we use for it, but it's pretty surprising at how little down payment still required if a lot of that entitlement is taken away. Veteran with full entitlement, $2 million purchase, zero down. Veteran with partial entitlement, $2 million purchase price, down payment required to cover guarantee portion not backed by the VA. Why it matters, it expands opportunities for veterans. Purchase higher value homes, no conventional loan limits or jumbo loan rules. And that's a big deal when it comes to like credit and student loans, because a lot of our vets have student loans. Removes barriers of large down payments in high cost markets. The considerations that we have to take into factor is credit score, debt to income ratio, and VA residual income. That's really what we're looking at when it comes to debt to income ratio, residual income.
Yeah, and I think this is great because I mean I work a lot with our Air Force guys and gals over at Luke Air Force Base. I don't know if I've come across one of them that's going out and looking for a $2 million property. Not to say they don't have it, because I find with officers of all branches of the military, they're very smart with their money. They invest, but oftentimes, you know, looking in the Arrowhead area and some of these higher end areas where they're looking at $900,000 homes or $1 million homes, not having to go the jumbo route is a big difference maker.
It's a big deal. It's a big deal.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Can you also tell, does it give you the maximum? Like, it used to be only a quarter of what the entitlement paper, the DD-214 used to only show a quarter of the total. So how would a VA, so you're recommending agents to even begin having the agent contact you first so that you can go in, identify in that software? Because a lot of times they don't know.
So now that there's no real hard credit inquiry obligation there, I say I just get in touch with the client right away. And different lenders will work differently, but as soon as I get an application, that's when I'm requesting the certificate of eligibility, and their certificate of eligibility tells me 100% if what entitlement's remaining. So yeah, that makes sense.
We used to have that problem years ago where the VA buyer really just wasn't sure what
a lot of times,
how much they had.
And you know, now that technology is as fast as it is, it's really helped out a ton for VA.
So my last question as you hand over the keyboard, with disability, is it just like a yes or no, or is there partial disability?
There's partial disability, and you can see they'll say 10% disabled. Even 10% will get them exempt from the funding fee.
That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
So it's just as far as funding fee exemption, it's a yes or no.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It'll say exempt on the top.
Okay.
Yeah, top right. And I mean, big cost savings right there. Big cost savings. Plus, guys, there's reduced closing costs typically across the board for lenders when it comes to our veterans. So good to know.
All right. Then how does as far as the different loan programs allow for different concession limits.
Yep.
So when when I'm working with a VA buyer, are we still able to do rate buy downs? Because we had a client that I sent you, and we ended up with so much concessions that we couldn't cover all his closing costs. Or we covered all his closing costs with a lot of money left over. And then next thing I know, your office call and goes, we lowered the rate for him. And my guy was so excited. So now he's got a permanent rate in the fives.
Unbelievable. Well, so here's another lenders misread guidelines a lot with the VA. And what it states is maximum of 4% concessions, not including standard closing costs, up to rate buy downs at 2 points. So we could do standard closing costs plus 2 points or 2% towards the rate buy down, and then still get an additional 4% in closing costs that initial stuff doesn't even hit it. So we can go deep on getting concessions.
Well, and I think the last thing I'm going to say, but we got a little bit of time, where that becomes important is I've run into it with builders lenders, where I'm having to play the loan officer, and helping the builders lender understand how concessions work in the VA world. And they can't wrap their head around it.
I'll help you all if you need help with that. I mean, I've sent Mike a snippet of the VA guidelines and highlighted the
And I appreciate you highlighting it
Yeah.
because I can't read a lot.
Well,
I need to know what I need to read.
Forward it to them, and so they can see this is highlighted. Read the highlighted part, then you'll understand. Most people just only go to the bold topic, right?
Yeah.
That's a huge tip, Mike, on the new home thing.
Yeah, just don't assume. You can't. I run under the assumption. Well, you can't make any assumptions that anyone knows what they're talking about. But when a buyer's working with a big box bank such as Wells Fargo, Bank of America, or the builder's lender, I don't assume that they know what they're doing. I'm always having to second guess them and recheck and run things by you.
Yeah. Yep. I appreciate you guys.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thanks, Justin. Appreciate it as always. All right, let's jump into our 3-pack. Memorable buyer experiences. So we live in a repeat business and a referral-based business world. And there's a difference between just doing your job and making it very memorable. Because it's constantly trying to stay top of mind, and you want to make the experience. And I'm just going to give some examples for some buyers this morning. You want to make that experience as memorable as possible. So I'm just going to jump into it. So first one, just your onboarding process of really going that extra mile. Really, adding that personal touch. And so one of the things that I like to do is those not legal size, the letter size leather portfolios that every time that the West USA store's doors open, I seem to replenish my supply, Nick. And I appreciate that.
That's why we don't keep it open ever anymore. I have to warn everybody to watch you.
But this is something that I always bring with me. Obviously, going to throw in a pen. It's got a pad of paper. I put all the listings that we're going to take a look at that day in it. We have a book, a home buyer's book. And so whatever you have, it's just for me, I find it's a nice touch. It gives the buyers a place to just keep all of their notes. You got that pad of paper, take notes. We always play a game with them because we're going to go look at 5 homes. They all run together. So we're going to name each house, whether this is the blue carpet house or whatever the case is. And so they're always encouraged to bring that folder with them anytime we go out looking at homes. We have a actual physical book called Your Personal Guide to Buying a Home, but your title company should have a home buyer's guide type thing that have with you and give it to them. They'll brand it to you. I like to create it just a video introduction with a personal touch. We've talked about it for years, so I can't say that we're actually doing it, but I do want to create a home buying series because it's all about constant communication of what's up next. And I envision of just having, whether it's like a 15-part video series where each video is 30 seconds and video 1 might be a video of, hey, we're getting ready to look at homes. And then number 2 might be a video, okay, we're getting ready to submit an offer. Number 3, a video on the inspection process and things like that. But have some materials, have some things that just bring a personal touch to it.
Yeah, excuse me. The reason why most products that are expensive products have brochures is because the marketing industry has identified that consumers relate best to the give and the receive philosophy in a sales environment. So, for instance, you walk into a car dealership, you're going to walk out with today probably a $25 or $30 brochure, but on the back of it, it has the dealership name. If you go to Spencer's and you're interested in buying Wolf products or Thermadors or whatever the product du jour is of the day, and you receive a brochure, you're going to get all of the things about the product itself, but you're also on the back of it is also going to be Spencer's and probably stapled to it that salesperson's business card. So the concept they've shown, and I don't honestly remember the statistic, but it was over 50% of the people that receive brochures return to the company in which gave them the brochure in the end. So, they may gather all this information from 5 or 6 different businesses or 30 or 40 minutes online, but they're going to work with a company that provides them that hand-given thing.
Well, the thing, Nick, I like about the leather pad folios or synthetic leather pad folios, and you can get them at Walgreens, you can get them at Walmart, you can get them at Target. To Todd's point, when we go into open houses, we get all of these brochures, we get all of these flyers, and typically at the end of the day, most of them get thrown in the trash can because they come home and they got all this crap. People aren't throwing away a leather pad folio, something that they might repurpose it, but they're not throwing it away.
Yeah, for sure. And if it's got your info in it, then it's there forever. And Todd's 100% right. We see, I mean, you get something, so you feel obligated to then give back. In this situation, I think the personal touch is really what sets apart the different agents from being agents to being real estate agents that are taking this professional and seriously, and they're business entrepreneurs. I mean, we can use many examples, but let's just say you get into an Uber car, and the Ubers are going to cost $30 no matter who's driving that Uber. But car A has mints, has water bottles that are cold in the back, has chargers sitting there for you to charge your phone, has nice music playing. It's a better experience, and you're probably going to remember that person, but you're also probably going to tip that person a little bit heavier. You pick Uber B, same exact price, going the same distance, and you get in the car, the windows are down, it smells bad. It's a different experience, and you want to make sure that you're putting yourself in that situation for your clients. When they're working with you, they want to know that you're going to do the highest and best for them. Everything's personalized, everything's specific to them. So when they do talk about real estate with someone, they can easily say, my agent was amazing. They did all these things for me, and they're not going to forget you quickly because of the extra time that you've taken, and it doesn't take that much extra time.
You know, I like the leather ones too, the pleather ones too. But I will say this, though, if you're using them for open houses, what a great idea also, because if you use the paper ones, you know, that we also have that are branded, and you hand it, you're giving out a much less expensive product, but at the same token, nobody else is giving them something to put all their, you know, open house flyers.
Well, I want to go back to Nick's point. If I climbed into an Uber and there was a wet bar back there, I'd be like, hey, Mr. Uber driver, let's exchange numbers because I'm going to bypass Uber from now on every time I need a ride to the airport.
You just need to select Uber Black.
Anytime we have an agent talk about a good Uber driver, they're trying to turn him into a real estate agent because that's the right mentality.
I've got about 25 Uber drivers on my phone, but that's another topic for another day. All right, closing event with a personal touch. After the close is where either all the money's made or all the money's left on the table. And we talk about it several times. I'm not a closing gift type guy because I'm more about experiences. So for our team, we like to do housewarming parties. So the reason we like to do housewarming parties, one, it creates a memorable experience, but it's a chance to meet their family and friends. I do all the inviting, so I am working with my home buyer to get the names and phone numbers and email addresses of their family and friends because we're gonna personally invite them to the housewarming party. We pick up the phone and call all of them prior to the party. But I remember it was it was years and years ago. I was at a Schlotsky's with my family.
Are they still open?
No.
No, he said years ago.
No, they're still open.
There's no way.
Where?
Okay, how much you want to bet? How much? No, don't look at your phone. I'll tell you 2 locations right now, $100.
Betting you. I learned a long time ago, don't bet Mike when food's involved. Sorry, we definitely tangented.
Okay, and I just remember sitting there. I had almost like an out of body experience, just watching my family and watching my kids joke around and goof around. And I walked away and I'm like, I'm done buying them expensive crap all the time. I'm going to take whatever money that we have that we would invest in video games and cars and all this stuff, and I'm going to create personal experiences. So we just started, twice a year going on really nice vacations. And I can't tell you how many times we'll just be sitting around the house and we'll be laughing about an experience we had when we were traveling here, when we were traveling there. We're never talking about the Xboxes and stuff like that. And oftentimes now when I'm with past clients, we're talking about that housewarming party. So I just feel like personal experiences are oftentimes better than gifts. And I can't tell you how many times I've been to one of my housewarming parties and I'm talking to one of their family and friends, and they say, well, my agent never threw me a housewarming party.
Set yourself apart. That's what this is all about. George Washington Carver said it best: if you do the common things in life in an uncommon manner, you'll command the attention of the world. And it's really true. these open house parties or whatever you may elect to want to do, think about it though. You're meeting similarly caliber people. You're meeting people that typically run together, and when they run together, their finances are similar because, you can't party with somebody who doesn't have the funds to go on those elaborate vacations. So what it does is it just brings you connected to a much higher caliber of individual financially. And, we're not saying you're going to be making friends with these people permanent, but you might. But what we're saying is you have to do it in such a manner that is respectful. You're not promoting yourself all over the place. The fact that you created it, you called everybody, they're already familiar with your name. Just go have an enjoyable time and always make it about the seller.
Yeah, we had to stop throwing parties for Nick because the bouncy houses got too expensive, and the bouncy houses aren't even for the kids.
I do like an elaborate bouncy house. If you do this correctly and you're there to help promote and just celebrate these buyers and the purchase of this home, you don't have to talk about yourself at all. They are going to do it for you. They're going to walk around and introduce you to everybody. They're going to keep praising your name. And just like you said, and Todd said, I mean, set yourself apart. You've been talking about housewarming parties for years now on the podcast. I don't know if anyone else is doing them. I definitely see those agents that are leaving the gift baskets and the personalized gifts, and that's fantastic. But I think there's a lot of wins here that a lot of agents aren't picking up on.
All right, and the third thing is really just comes down to your follow-up again. And this is just one example that we do. Because I always like when I'm talking with agents or agents are interviewing to be part of our team, I always ask the question, what does your post-closing look like? And how frequently are you in touch with your clients? And then, and when are you visiting them and what are you doing for them? And it's typically, I hear, a 30-day text or call, just, seeing how things are going. And then at the end of the year, they will send a happy house anniversary text or whatever the case is.
Happy HUD.
Yeah, you want to be... And they will send you referrals and you will get repeat business, but you have to be in front of them. So what we do is we frequently go over the performance of the purchase, and we call it a real estate portfolio review, where we want to say, okay, on this date we sold the house, it was worth this, and this is what your cap rate was, and this is what it would look like as a rental, all of those things. And then our frequency is every 6 months. Of going over, okay, over the last 6 months, this is how your house performed and so forth. But we make them in person. We make them more frequent than most agents. Most agents might go see their clients every 12 months in this respect, but we want to do it every 6 months. And being in person and being in their house and celebrating their house. And it's a chance for me to put eyeballs on the improvements of what they've done to their house and so forth. So we make them frequent. And this is, I don't ask people, hey, do you know any family or friends looking to buy or sell? That's just kind of not my style of asking for referrals. But man, I love, this is the time that I'm actually pretty direct and say, okay, hey, listen, you've seen how we've helped make you money over the last 6 months. Who do you know in your sphere that could benefit from learning how to make more money in real estate?
This is such a good thing because it's true. No matter what you do after the close, if you're not physically meeting them face to face on some type of a repetitious basis, let's just face it, drips don't really sell. Drips just keep your name top of mind. That's all. But it also doesn't justify. Here's the thing I like. Everybody think about where you live right now. And think about when you first moved into that property. Think about that emotional experience you had back then. Now, some people have to move and it's not a happy thing, but just for homes, think about it. And think about what it feels like today. Have you become so complacent with the property? Have you failed to look out the back and see that beautiful, orange mountain or palm trees that you saw the first day you saw that home? We have a hard time reconnecting to the original emotional feelings of what it was that we had at the time we did something or something else. Think about a marriage for that instance. Think about the day you got engaged. Think about the day you got married. And so if you can't remember and bring forward each of those experiences, they become dull. They become less brilliant. They become boring. and then those relationships and those properties and everything become boring. And sometimes that's good because you want people to get a little bit bored because you want them to buy the next house from you. But the other piece of this is that people will refer friends. So you don't have to wait for these people to buy again. And that's what drips kind of do. So in essence, you want to make sure that you are in communication with these people because you're asking them to remember that emotional experience that you helped them with, that portfolio and how it's doing. But more importantly, the feelings that they had when they bought the home, how happy they were. Show them a photo, remind them of how happy they were. And ultimately, you'll get some business from it.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that drip campaigns and stuff like that aren't important. I think they're just ancillary to everything else. If all you're doing is relying on drips, I don't think you're going to get anywhere. Drips are important. It just backs up when now you're backs up all of your efforts now when you're sitting in front of them.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have the time to be in front of this individual as consistently as you want to. That's where the drips come in. But no one is sitting in front of their clients as much as they should be. And it doesn't come to light as much as it does in a market like this. The amount of phone calls that we get about how our agent's production is down, the first question is, how many times are you meeting with those that have transacted with you? I'm not going to say past client because I don't like that term.
Right,
and it just doesn't happen. And I think this... The number 3 there, and Todd, you're right. The emotional response to buying a home is visceral. It's something that you can take with you, but you lose it over time. Having someone reminding you how much money you have now earned on that home and how much more they can help you, that brings that back pretty quickly. But one thing I just want to touch on really fast. So the point of this was memorable buyer experiences, and you kind of started or ended the last segment with it. When working with a buyer on a new build, Justin has nothing to do with that transaction. He's not going to win any money there, but he is still offering to help you, and you have the wherewithal and the forethought to go, I got to make sure that my buyer is being taken care of by this other individual who's working on the loan. I'm going to reach out to someone I know and I trust and it's going to give me good information. That right there is a memorable buyer experience. You saving that buyer money, helping them get a lower rate, whatever the cause is, they're going to remember that forever. If you, in your business, don't have someone that you can lean on in every capacity, in lending and title, etc., you need to look at your, as we call them, cabinet that's working with you, because that should be a number one go-to whenever you're walking through a process. If the person doesn't making money, they're not going to call you back. You need a new person.
And the thing about Justin I like is the fact that if they decide to refinance or if the rates change or anything like that, they now have another lender that is not the builder's lender that they can contact for investment properties or anything else they want to buy. And sometimes it can start there.
All right, so I'm going to open something up. So I'm going to give everybody my West USA email. So write this down. Just email me at mikew@westusa.com, because this Wednesday I'm actually going to go through point number 3 in detail as a reminder for my team. And we're going to really kind of go into the nuts and the bolts of what do our real estate portfolio reviews look like? What are all of the items that we bring with it? But then how to take this concept and go through your database of everybody that owns a home and how you can do this, because it doesn't necessarily have to be past clients. And how, I mean, when I'm out with meeting people and if they own a home, we're going to offer a real estate portfolio review. And so we're going to go in detail. So if you're interested, it's going to be this Wednesday from 10 to 12. My email is mikew@westusa.com. All right.
You got a video it by chance?
No.
Can we?
No. We don't have that kind of technology. Well, actually,
I have
we do.
to teach a class.
Oh, well.
I want to be there.
Let's go to Anthony. We'll figure it out.
No, we'll do an expensive lunch. Okay. And it won't be Schlotsky's.
All right.
Durant.
They're closed right now.
Yeah.
Under new management.
Yeah, till December.
I didn't know you were the
Don't go
go-to on all restaurants, Mike. That's
Buddy.
good.
Oh my gosh.
Have we met?
Yeah.
Is this our first time? Okay, you're gonna want to get closer to that microphone. Yep. Put that nice and tight there for you. All right. So for those of you who don't know, Anthony Cucci is the owner of HCP Home Inspections. He's just about at every office meeting that there is, and a lot of the classes that we do. And just is not only has an incredible inspection company with about 10 to 12 inspectors on hand, but offers a lot of different ancillary follow-up services and the ability to really understand the inspection process and what we're looking for and in understanding inspection reports, which I want to get into. But the first thing, Anthony, I want to talk about, because I think there's this misconception, and we're going to talk about new builds. There's this misconception when we're representing buyers on new builds that the builders are going to do the perfect job at building this home. There aren't going to be any issues, and so therefore my buyers don't need to invest the money in a home inspection. I can't remember the last new build that Ryan and I did where we at least didn't pressure our buyers to get a home inspection. Not all of them do. We can't force it. It is what it is. But you guys have found a lot of things, and it really has helped us with getting that house move-in ready. So walk us through the ideal situation and why we should be getting inspections on new builds.
Yeah, I think they're super important. I think the main thing is that when you're going through a building process, there's so many moving parts and there's so many different things that come into play where, we look at material shortage, we look at workmanship shortage, and you have inconsistencies throughout the entire process, right? And so what we see a lot of on new builds that is unlike a traditional resale is workmanship issues. And it's partly because of material and lack of, and they're sourcing it wherever they can get it so they don't fall really behind on schedule. And then the crews, right? So a crew that starts a job may not be the same crew that finishes it on the back end by the time the material gets in. And so we're seeing a lot of workmanship issues, a lot of cutting corners in order to get on target and get timelines done. And so that's what we really look for. And that's what's probably different about a new build inspection versus a traditional resale is, the items that we're looking at that just aren't quite up to par, that aren't quite
Like,
done
what are
yet.
some examples?
Yeah. So material examples are, wood, roofing materials, electrical and plumbing, like when you get to see it at the skeleton, at the frame out section, right? And a good example of workmanship issues are like tile overlays, right? So you get, one crew that starts a tile job and, nothing's really done in the house yet, and they give a smooth, transition. And then a crew that comes in on the back end to finish the back 3 rooms where everything's already in, and so you just have workmanship cut issues. You have product issues.
Yeah, and I think too with new builds, they're kind of two different scenarios, because obviously, buyers can go and say, "Hey, I want to pick out this lot, and I'm going to go down to the design center, and we're going to build this from ground up." And I want you to kind of walk through how many different inspections and at what phases are we doing this. And then there's the new build, which I've been doing more and more of recently. It's the spec homes. They're 30 days out or 45 days out. So there's no looking at the skeleton of the house because drywall's up and stucco's up and things like that. But let's walk through the build-up process and when we should be getting home inspections.
Yeah, so we offer multi-phase inspection, and we really start at what we call the stub-out phase or the framing phase. So the plumbing and the electrical has already been run, and it's just the bare bones. It's right before insulation and drywall go up, and it really allows us an opportunity to see the bare bones of the house, right? The skeleton, if you will. We get to really look at the lumber members and the structure, the trusses. We get to see what the attic looks like before the insulation and the drywall goes up there. And we really get a bare bones, right? We get to really peek at the foundation and how it's settled. Are there cracks? Are they larger? And so we really get a great look at it. So we'll do that part. We'll make our recommendations, and then we'll go back and look at the repairs, because that's the second issue, right? Like, it's great that the builder's saying they're going to repair, if they say they're going to repair it. It's great that the repairs, are they just braced? Are they sistered? Are they patched? Or are they the repairs and make sure they're done in a workmanlike manner? And then we do like a final inspection right before you get your keys. They're still touching things up, so you'll see a lot of blue tape up there and things like that. But at that point, it's just a full inspection. We're testing all the components. Everything's plugged in. The water pressures, like we're looking at everything. It resembles a traditional inspection, and then again, based on our recommendations and the repairs that the builders agreed to do, we'll go back out again and look at the repairs, making sure they're
because that's what we're focused on, especially the spec homes. So we basically have 2 walkthroughs with the builder. the orientation walkthrough, and then the final walkthrough, and here's the keys. I like to do the inspection about 2 to 3 days before that first walkthrough, and you guys just looks like already went in there with blue tape, and you produce this inspection report before the clients ever get in the house, and so we're able to walk through this now when we're doing our first orientation with the builder. You guys have already done all the hard work. And for me, again, it's like any inspection. You guys are looking at things I can't look at. I'm not getting on the roof, and I'm not climbing in the attic. And there are just some things that you guys notice that I'm like, I would never notice, and so forth. So then it makes the process easier for me because the builder now has the inspection report. When we show up, the general contractor has that inspection report. They've already gone through half the time and started making those repairs. But because we want that house perfect when the buyer actually gets the keys.
Yeah, I think it's important to remember that buyers typically have 5 to 6 different walkthroughs through a home with a new home construction company. But to the point, you don't always know what you're looking for unless you built a lot of new homes. But we have had Lynn, my wife's business, Anthony's come out a number of times in new home construction, and we've caught the air ducts that were pinched so badly that it would have impeded the proper airflow in the home. Things like the electrical that has to be connected, the ground has to be connected to the pole that goes through the cement into the ground that wasn't connected tight. And all these different things that you and I as realtors wouldn't have picked up, but Anthony did because of his experience in each of those phases. So new home construction the whole way. Mike's right. If you're dealing with move-in ready product or production product that's almost finished, that's a very difficult thing because Anthony can't see through the walls. Can you?
I mean,
no vision.
Hasn't been invented yet.
But just but here's the last piece on this is this is Anthony. Speak to the fact of what builders require for a home inspector to cross the sidewalk.
Yeah, so they're making it more and more difficult, right? I think the goal and I don't want to put this, say a blanket statement across the board, but the goal for builders is to kind of push everything to warranty. They want you to close, they want you to, move in, and then they push all repairs on the back end of warranty. And our goal is to make that not happen, right? Like I feel like once things go to warranty, it goes to warranty la la land, and they have a year to kind of fix it, and maybe they'll get to it, maybe they don't. And I think before you close, you kind of have something to hold their feet to the fire to get these things repaired. The state requirement for home inspectors for E&O insurance is $500,000. Most new builds start at over $1 million. There's a lot of new builds right now that are $2 million. They put restrictions from a financial standpoint and price a lot of like these individual home inspectors out of the game because a $2 million policy is quite different financially than a $500,000 policy. And then they put restrictions, right? Like you can't get on the roof, you can't open the electrical panel. The project manager has to be on site in order to do that. So you have to coordinate it with their timelines and what that looks like. And so I don't want to say they put obstacles, but there's definitely...
They do not want buyers to hire a home inspector.
Right.
There's a fact.
And I'll add this. I think a key point, with everything, right? A key point is communication. But Mike, how many times have you gone to a new build? How many agents, how many sales reps are there usually at a new build facility?
Two.
How many?
1 to 2.
How many homes are going up?
No.
A couple hundred?
Yeah.
Right? In any given community?
10 to 15 at any
So
time.
two salespeople are managing multiple hundreds of homes going up. Here's a key piece of advice that I would give to anybody. Find out who your project manager is. I think it's like a 10-to-1 ratio, right? There's 10 project managers for every rep or something like that. Find out who your project manager is because he's going to have the real timelines. Communicate with them. They'll give an email out, and that's what we do. So when we first get introduced to the rep and we fill out paperwork, we ask for a project manager's name. We get their email, and then that project manager is copied on everything. We're seeing huge delays in new builds right now. Not as bad as first quarter and second, where we were looking at like 6 to 8 week delays, but we're still seeing delays. But that project manager is going to have real-time information and real-time knowledge of when products coming in, things like that. So my biggest key would be like get their information, get the real.
Well, and I think also too when you walk a buyer into a new build, and they're thinking about picking out a lot or whatever the case is. Ask the question right then on what their policy is with hiring a third-party home inspector, and let your buyer make that decision. And I want that that sales rep to feel the pressure of like, this is kind of a big deal, and we take it serious. So I want to,
Before we jump away from new builds real quick, we had a question come in. I think it was a good question. Anthony, on average, how many times are you guys visiting a home before close of escrow when it comes to a new build?
It just depends on at what point we get in, right? So if we get in and it's in the process of being built and we can get in at the framing stage, I would say 4 to 5 times. If it's a spec home, we're just out there that one time. It's that one look for the 2 to 3 hours we're out there for. And maybe we get a follow-up to look at repairs. It just depends on how quickly we get involved.
good question, Nick.
I was going to follow up. So then the agent that's helping the buyer then needs to make sure they're engaging with you almost immediately upon putting the contract
absolutely.
in.
Yeah. And I will say that the other thing I'll add real quick is part of the obstacles that builders put in is renewal of policy every 30 days, right? So we start a frame inspection and completion 6 months go by, 4 months go by, whatever that is. Every 30 days, we have to update our information with that builder or we're kicked out of the system and we're not allowed on site again. My team manages all of that, right? And so I think communication's key and just staying in front of the builder.
That was a question from Carlos Cicero, so I don't want to take credit.
All right. Hey, Carlos, how you doing, man? All right. Want to kind of move into re-inspects. We've had this conversation over the years. So, you guys come out, you do a home inspection, and there's just certain things on the inspection report. You know, if we submit a BINSR, us as agents and buyers, we can go and verify and we can make sure that stuff gets repaired and stuff. But there's things that go beyond our capabilities, like especially like HVAC systems. If you guys go out and say, hey, this AC unit is struggling, the splits are off, and the seller agrees to take care of that and service it and make sure it's operational, I'm not going out there on the final walkthrough and checking splits, or I'm not verifying things got done on the roof or whatever the case is. So sometimes you and I will I'll hire you guys to do a re-inspect. And I've even done it on new builds where some things are just beyond the scope of what I feel comfortable verifying. And if I know that there's some major issues, I'm actually letting the listing agent and the seller know that we are doing a re-inspect, because I want that seller to feel the pressure. Oh man, these guys are going to hire the home inspector to come out for the final walkthrough and verify this. I want them to feel the pressure to make sure it's done right. But walk us through when is that a good time? What are certain things we should be focusing on having you guys come out and do a re-inspect, and what are the fees associated with that?
Yeah, well, first let me say this: your team does something that I love, and you set that expectation up front, and you can decide on the back end whether you're going to follow through with it, whether you're going to have us back out or not. But telling them that you're going to get it done ahead of time holds their feet to the fire, so that their cousin's best friend's uncle doesn't do the repairs, right? Like that's the thing that we see, right? Is you submit this BINSR and they have it repaired, but it's not done really well. It's not done professionally because they have a friend or a cousin or a buddy that does it, and they just kind of have it done like that. And so just setting the expectation that you're going to get it done is, usually nips that right away. And so, yeah, we do offer re-inspections. We offer 2 tiers, one where we just go out during an agreed upon day and we fit it between our schedule and we charge $100 for it. And it's whatever is on your list, we'll go back and reevaluate. And then we charge $150 if we're going to go out and you want your buyer to come back out and go through it again. It's just because it takes one of the time slots away from our guys. Most people just pick the $100 option. You get a full inspection report with before and after pictures of the specific issue that was identified, what it looked like before, what our observation was, and what the first option. And I would say that you're right. As a hole in the wall, you're going to be able to see as an agent that that it was patched, right? But if the splits were off, if there was roof issues, if there was something in the attic,
electrical panels.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are things that you don't want to kind of mess with and you want us to kind of look at. And here's the other thing. We will send the exact same inspector out, that went out to the property. It's not like I'm going to go out by myself or we're going to reassign somebody else. The person that did it's going to go out and look at it, and he's going to be able to tell you if it looks the same or what the workmanship on the issue is.
That's a good point. Even telling the consumer, the buyer, expecting your buyer, that talk about the value of that second inspection. where they're not having to inspect it and make that decision either. So it does hold the seller's feet to the fire. But even from a buyer's standpoint, the buyer knowing up front, I'm going to spend an extra $100, but here's the value proposition of what I'm getting for that extra $100.
Yeah.
I think if it's required, if those types of repairs are required and are identified during
I've
the
never
inspection.
had a buyer say no.
Yeah.
Every buyer's like, if I say, hey, listen, I'm not testing the HVAC. I'm not an electrician. And Anthony's crew will come out for $100 and verify that this is done. I've never had a buyer go, no, I don't want it. That's too much. I don't want to do that.
Right.
And here's the thing, like most of the time the repairs are made. It's just the quality of the repair that we're observing now, right? And so you get on a roof and yeah, the tile was replaced, but it's not really secured and I can just lift it and move it, and or the HVAC was serviced, but the splits are still low. They're better than they were, but they're not great. And so that's really what we're looking for, right? Is the quality of the job that's done. So,
All right. So, you got any more questions for us, Nick? Or what are you doing over there?
I'm monitoring.
Okay, attaboy. So, all right. So when we get the inspection report, and I understand your guys' perspective, and all inspection companies are going to do this. So when I'm going down the list, and my buyer's going down the list, it's not uncommon to see we recommend further evaluation. How do I determine whether that's CYA for the home inspector, or hey, this is something we should really do? Because I remember I had a situation we talked about this morning, representing a buyer out in I think it was Levine, and the stem walls were because he cracked. You could see some rust coming through, and so forth, and the cracks were bigger than usual.
Yeah.
And your report said, recommend further evaluation. And I knew I probably should because your home inspector spent some time on that. And so I called you and you're like, yeah, dude, you really need to do this. And so we hired an engineer to come out, and it turned out that the foundation needed about $45,000 worth of repairs.
Wow.
The seller offered $1,500 in
That's
seller
fair.
concessions,
That
and so we walked. But it was a ticking time bomb.
yeah.
Yeah, now they have to report that on their SPDS.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that's the beauty of it, right? Is if you walk away, if they decide not to fix it, now it's a disclosure issue that they're gonna have to disclose on the back end anyways. Yeah, I feel like in a lot of reports that I review for the state and things like that, I feel like there are inspectors that hide behind the further eval, right? That's just a general broad term. I would say we do a pretty good job at kind of identifying those issues during our walkthrough with the buyer or our conference call with the buyer if they're out of state. We put items in red that or just really stand out to us. When we put further eval on there, it's really for items that we see the surface or we see the outlying issue, and I just can't tell what the cause of it is, right? And so we see a crack and it's larger than usual. I can't look to see how far that goes or how deep that goes. I'm not a specialist. So we make that recommendation to have it evaluated. Same with roofs and HVAC, right? Like I can tell you it's not working. I just can't tell you why, right? We're not spending the time to tell you why the roof failed or why the AC is only blowing 8-degree split differentials or anything like that. And so I would say we do a really good job during our review of identifying the issue. And if the agent doesn't have a recommendation for somebody, we generally do, right? Like we'll have a foundation guy, we'll have an HVAC guy, we have a roofer.
I can't tell you how many times we've had issues like that. I'm like, all right, Anthony, so I don't have a guy. And next thing I know, because you got a great foundation guy.
Yeah.
And he's come out a couple times and really at the end of the day saved the day. A couple times he's come out and said, hey, not that big of a deal. And sometimes he's come out and said, that's a big deal.
That's what I love about the people that we refer. And there's no benefit on my end on the back end besides the fact that I know they're going to take care of our guys. Because at the end of the day, you, me, a title rep, we're in the business of providing experiences, right? And so if you have a great experience with us because of somebody I refer to you, that's a win for me, right? And so we only partner and we only refer people that we know are going to take care of our customers. And I can't tell you, how many times we've sent a roofer or a foundation guy out and they've said, hey, it looks good. It might need, $500 or it's not a complete re-roof, or the foundation's
Yeah.
fine, or whatever that is. And that's just as good as getting a $50,000 quote, right? Like just
Yeah.
knowing that reassurance.
Well, you and I were talking this morning specifically about roofs. So, I mean, we know that this is been a problem in hurricane-prone areas, and we're starting to see it become a problem here in Arizona, where insurance companies are coming out and saying if your roof is more than X amount of years old, you got two options. You either replace the roof or you get dropped. And so the way it's been for me in the past is you guys come out and then the home inspector says, hey, yeah, I do think you need to get further evaluation on that roof. Well, now I don't necessarily have enough time. Now I'm negotiating, having to extend the inspection period and so forth. So what we've started to do as a team, because we've been using a company called Efficient Roofing, they'll do free roof inspections. So for buyers, now it's now part of my inspection process. When we are scheduling you, an HCP, to do our home inspections, I am preemptively having the roof company come out now and take a look at that roof, so that we're not having to delay the process. And then depending on what they put, that's just part of the negotiations.
Yeah, we do that as well. So if we get disclosed that, there was a roof issue, or, there's a concern, or if I look at a house and it's a shingle roof and it's an older home and I can't see any, permits or anything like that have been pulled, we bring a roofer out with us automatically, right? It's a value add. It doesn't cost anything to our buyer. It's leveraging the relationships we have to kind of provide a better experience. So we do that automatically, and just bring somebody out with us. And this way you just know right away, right? Like, okay, this is what it looks like. It's not a $5,000 repair; it's a $500 fix, right, or whatever that is.
That's so important, Anthony, because so many roofers that go out for free estimates, the reason they're a free estimate roofer is because they're always looking for work, of course. And so they're going to tend to tell somebody that a roof needs a larger repair, or it's smarter to do an entire roof repair or entire side of the roof repair than it is to just fix it. So it's important. I mean, I think you just gave me a new value prop tool for you, which was by saying you bring along this person for free if you believe that based on age or whatnot, that might need to be checked.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, what are you looking for? A 2-year roof cert? And then how does your insurance company deal with that?
Yeah.
And things of that nature. So I think that's really, to everybody listening today, that is probably one of the most significant value adds to why to use Anthony, in addition to all the things you've already heard.
And real quick, I just want to touch on what Mike said. Yeah, insurances in Arizona are starting to kind of move to that. We have an office in Florida and Texas, and part of the inspection process on just a purchase is evaluating the roof. And in Florida specifically, if the roof has less than 5 years or whatnot, or 3 years, I think it is, it's not insurable. So they won't even get insurance for the home. And I don't know that we're quite there yet. And I'm not an insurance agent, so don't hold me to this. So I don't know that we're quite there yet.
But you're an ex-CIA agent, so we can talk about that later on.
Yeah, for sure. But I think we are moving to that, right? Like businesses are in the business of protecting, their business. And I think we are moving that to. I see a lot of that, kind of what you alluded to, insurance companies reaching out. I think that is something we'll see in the next 5 years here in Arizona.
How many markets are you in, Anthony?
Too many. No. We are in 9 states and 14 markets.
And how about just Arizona?
So we service, the Phoenix area, Tucson. We'll go up to Flagstaff and up north. Usually that doesn't meet quite the 24-hour criteria for everything. Usually Flagstaff has to kind of get set up in a couple days in advance. But Tucson, Phoenix metro area, we're usually at about 24 hours.
So if an agent was interested, say, for instance, sending a client sending a referral to another market, could they contact you and find out what those markets are, or where can they find out where those markets are, so that maybe you could recommend an agent there that does a really good job that an agent here wouldn't know about?
Yeah, our website has our cities listed there, and our markets. If you're referring, or you have somebody moving and you don't have a contact, then yeah, I'm happy to make an introduction.
All right, so I got your phone number and your email up here, and I can't imagine why we might have agents that haven't used HCP home inspections yet, but
there are, so
but
please
there
do
are some.
use us.
So walk us through the process, maybe some of the pricing and the value add, or your proposition value here.
Yeah, the process is really simple, right? Like, and it's designed to fit the agent's desire. So you can go online and book us online. All of our availabilities right there. Our scheduling email is scheduling@hcphomeinspection.com. We have a transaction coordinator that kind of just sets everything up. We'll coordinate everything for you. We try to make it as easy and as simple as possible. Pricing for West USA is pretty flat. We did have a spike increase in January. We held out until March for West USA agents for that increase, but it's $400 up to 3,000 square feet, and our termite company charges $60. The goal for us is we don't want our agents trying to figure out on a napkin at a restaurant while they're talking to their buyer what the pricing is going to be. It's $400 up to 3,000 square feet.
And you're not going to get that price anywhere else. So
yeah.
All right, Anthony, man, we appreciate your time.
thanks for having me.
Great stuff. And we'll leave everybody with the quote of the day. You're not just an agent. You are the solution they've been waiting for. Appreciate it. Today, go out and sell a home.